Welcome back to Karandrin Role Playing. This is episode 35, and I am Crack Palantir, also known as Kevin Manus Pennings. I will be your host and your game master for tonight. And this is Brise's tale. That is the tale we are in. We don't call them quests, we don't call them campaigns, because who knows where shit's going to take us. This is all sandbox. And as always, my good buddy Max is here to play Brise. And Brise, say hi. As now, do your Brise voice. Yeah, Brise says.
Brise is a 70-year-old woman. I'd like to see all you again.
Who wants a candy?
Yeah, Brise's tale is coming to a close. Ripe age of 70.
That's right.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all again. Ready for some more epic role master.
That's right.
Epic is a good word to describe this.
Does it feel epic? Does it feel?
It does. It feels very long.
Wait a minute.
You ever read Beowulf? You're there and you're like, when is it going to end? Oh my God, they just keep going.
You know, my favorite part, like speaking to that point, right? The length of it is when he sinks down to fight Grendel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he sinks for days.
Oh, yeah.
And he fights like sea monsters the whole way down. And I'm like, setting aside your oxygen, aren't you really hungry? Are you eating the monsters? What are you doing? You know?
That's right, he does. It's a long journey down.
It just cracks me up. So, oh, hey, Quinn. Glad you could join us again. Don't comment on Brise's body. Don't say she has a nice tail. That's disgusting. But also purely in your imagination. It's not. She's actually very attractive. You know, I don't think I used our captioning at all last time. That is crazy. I should do that.
I don't remember.
Good. Quinn, as always, is cheering for Brise's death. Quinn is just a brutal person. I don't know why he's always out to murder or have me murder Brise, but you never know. It's always a possibility. So
yeah, enough money, it's a possibility. Kindly donate.
That's right. Or redeem those Karandrin points that we just hand out.
Exactly.
Like 70-year-old person's candy. But so remind us what we were doing, Max.
Well, for the past couple episodes, I've been exploring this abandoned manor, many hundreds of years old in the mountains, southern Nargas, and it's established. It was built probably by humans or mannish people, then taken over by goblins at some point, and all sorts of oddities and crazy creatures in there, including a ghost of a child who I was able to return to peace, I guess is the right word, put to rest at the end of the last episode, which was a pretty cool moment. Pretty cool. So, and yeah, that's where we left off just after that confrontation, and still much to explore here.
Yes. We know that the manor is seems to be originally built by an ancient race of humans, some sort of human empire that dominated this area many millennia ago. And then
it's thousands of years, not hundreds of years.
Yeah. Well, it does qualify as hundreds, right? It's just
right, but
50 hundreds. And then that empire fell. This area was then later dominated by dwarves and elves. We think, and then those empires must have been replaced by the goblins that came in a few centuries ago. So just these cycles of habitation that we see in human history, which I find fascinating. And if you don't know about things like the underground cities of Asia Minor, you got to look those up. Those are just amazing. They're just crazy. And we don't know exactly why they were built underground, whether it was defensive, or it was just easier, or what, we don't know. But all that kind of stuff just fascinates me. So we, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
This is it fascinating.
Yes, that's right. And one of them has amazing acoustic properties, where if you stand in this one part and sing, it can be heard very clearly throughout the whole city. And that's mind-boggling too. The where and why for of all that. Well, without further ado, um, so yeah, you're on the east side of the manor.
Mm-hmm.
I use our captions, by golly. Um,
Use it or lose it.
that's right. Oh my God, all my captions have atrophied. I didn't even know it was possible. Um, there we go. Yeah, I did not use any of these last time. I was a little out of practice, clearly. So prior to the you releasing her soul
Mm-hmm.
to go properly to the afterlife, which you did without violence, which was very cool. Obi-Wan talked to me afterwards and told me how she was really impressed by that move. Um, and and she was really pushing for a reward for you as a player. She goes, that was just so awesome that he didn't choose
Yeah.
violence on this and he took the risk. And I said, I'll reward him with death. And the
Well, it's funny in D&D they actually have it called inspiration. It's like a mechanic, it's like literally the DM says, "That's awesome." You get a free roll, free reroll.
oh, interesting.
It's called inspiration, which I like. So, I mean, if you want
We usually do it here through
to distribute of the miracle roll, which I can always,
we oh that's true. We didn't do miracle rolls. We gotta get back to miracle rolls.
yeah.
We I usually do it actually with experience points. But I'm
Oh,
also
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
I might do
Extra
it
experience for.
I might do it for your what's called the spell gain roll when we level you up, which is
Mm,
you have to roll below the percentage of your learning and so on to see if you've learned the next section of spells. And maybe I'll give you an extra one of those. But it's certainly in my mind to give you a reward. So do you want to use your miracle roll right now? Uh, just start off the session with a miracle roll, or is that just as ridiculous as it sounds?
um. Yeah, I can't. No, it's ridiculous. I can't think of something I'd want. I mean, I guess I need money or something to happen. No, I'll think of some in this session. I'm sure. Don't even put on the
Um,
spot to think of a miracle.
you
I'm not
are,
even
yeah.
thinking of miracles.
You just need to, you just need to think of something that helps your success but doesn't grant you success. I know that's a big complexity for you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, so, um, so, um, she had, unbeknownst to you, the ghost,
Mm,
she had held suspended in the air two bodies
right.
um, pinned to the ceiling. Um, so, um, do you have any interest in those bodies, or are you
Well, let's take a look at them. Yeah.
pretty clearly people of arms? Their weapons are largely degraded. Um, there is, let's see, in terms of both appear to be goblin, if you had to guess.
Mm,
Um, there is a nice set of armor. It is there's a +10 substance full shield.
oh wow.
There's also patching leather. I put leather armor. It should be leather jerkin.
Mm,
Um, and what it does is when you receive a bleeding wound that bleeds more than bleeds from 2 to 4 points, it'll
Yeah.
immediately stop the bleeding of that wound. They can do that 3 times
Hmm.
a day. It does it automatically.
Okay.
Um, you're presently wearing
Breastplate. Yeah.
right, a rigid leather breastplate. Now,
You
the
wear a
thing is
jerkin?
that you could wear both of these armors, leather
Yeah.
jerkin underneath, and then your the breastplate on top.
Yeah.
It is cumbersome,
Mm.
so you will get a -10 to your actions,
Ooh.
um, your physical actions.
Yeah.
Um, but it would it would provide you a great deal of protection.
Yeah, that plus 20 magic. I mean, the other option is just leaving the
Switch.
tossing the breastplate and grabbing the jerkin. Um, I don't know if that, I guess, is that exposing more of like, the chest area to like more.
No, it's the jerkin is literally a soft leather vest.
Yeah.
Made, it's one of the few armors that you could actually nap in comfortably.
Yeah.
Um, maybe not sleep a full night in, but um, it requires no skill to wear. It's very easy to wear. It's what a lot of your bailiffs and constables wear.
Oh, yeah.
Um, bouncers, that sort of person who they just need a they just need some sort of minimal protection and so on.
Yeah.
England, I think we talked about this before. England back in the day, they had a requirement if you made so much money, you had to own a bow, a sword, and a breastplate,
Huh.
a
Yeah.
metal breastplate.
Yeah.
And that was basically how they had essentially an army ready to go.
Right.
So when you see, like, you read the famous Robin Hood story, right, where they're having a festival for shooting and so on, the whole purpose of that was to keep people in practice
Oh, yeah.
for
Interesting.
times of war.
Right. When you never knew when an invasion was going to come and your populace needs to mobilize.
Right. Because they didn't use standing armies not until much later.
Mm.
Um,
It's interesting that this guy is much better than the current breastplate I'm wearing. I might just swap them out, put my
okay.
breastplate in my bag of holding, and we'll sell that later and keep the jerkin.
I don't want you to be afraid of the -10 because you can. I mean,
I
in
can
your
offset that with any kind of bonus or something. Yeah.
but because that if you think about it, well, just to get it, if you have a +10 weapon, those offset, and
Right.
yet you'll have tremendously more protection, and you are definitely getting hit hard.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. Hmm.
so I don't want you to be too afraid of penalties. I know I keep this
Yeah.
out of being away from being a numbers game.
Right.
Um,
Right. But I imagine the -10 is like literally it's uncomfortable, to like do stuff as well. So
right.
um we could yeah, I could wear both of them like for a couple days and see, how it affects if I feel like it affects me or not.
Right.
And because yeah, my character isn't too much for like comfort, or like I don't know. If I'm wearing armor, I'm wearing armor. I'm gonna be uncomfortable. Like I
Sure.
acknowledge that. So yeah, so why not? We can take some time to put that on. Undo the leather chest
Yeah.
plate and put this on and that over it.
All right.
That'll be cool.
No problem. I will adjust your defense accordingly. So basically, right now, with it on, your defensive bonus, which we subtract from all rolls against you, it goes from a 10 to a 40.
Nice.
And then, of course, using your shield, um,
And that's just general, like without any other armor. You're saying?
that's with you double your leather.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, And so,
Nice.
and then with your shield, you'd be at a 75.
Wow.
Um,
How much does that weigh, by the way, the jerkin?
oh, it weighs, I remember this off the top of my head, 5.5 pounds. Maybe I
Cool.
have
And
that.
I'll throw the full shield in my bag of holding.
Okay. If I were a smart game master, I would have you a weight on that, but I'm about to have you a weight.
And my bag of holding has almost nothing in it.
Right.
I've dumped out anyway.
Full shield is 22.5 pounds.
Okay.
And let me check the jerkin's weight because I think I told you wrong. When I said it, I was like, no, you're thinking something else, Kevin. Sorry, yeah, the jerkin is 9 pounds.
Okay. Suddenly got heavier. Oh.
That's right. No wonder I'm at a -10. This is yeah, so there you are. So you're 40-75. How are you for hit points?
Fine. It is like literally the early morning. I just woke up 100 full.
Yeah, great.
Everything's maxed out. Yeah, okay. Let's investigate the rest of the room then. I know there were other things around here.
A lot of the sort of bundled items and so on have rotted to nothing. There are coins here and there in what is clearly the corner in which they sort of she and her father lived.
Yeah.
You find only a smattering of copper if you're interested. Um, there's 9 copper lying around. And then, ironically, in her death, her sorrow made her so much more powerful. She was able to kill these two, and there's 27 gold between them.
Oh,
You know,
I'll take the gold for sure.
and so it's kind of weird, right? Had they had that money, they could have afforded an inn.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You
Yeah.
that's just weird.
Okay.
Just selling that shield, I mean, that would have brought them lots of money.
Yeah.
But just wasn't in the cards. Um, for anyone new to the stream, a gold in this game will keep you in an inn with 3 square meals a day for a month. And here's several years worth of gold of inns lying on the floor.
Yeah.
So to remind you, they talked about that there were armored the metal women.
Oh yeah.
That seem to be guarding the houses further north of in the estate.
Right. Marching
They're on the
between
edge.
that
Yeah.
area. Mm-hmm.
And we know the father never returned, and whether it was that or he slipped and fell down a slope or what have you, who knows? But you certainly know that those metal warriors, those constructs as they're known, one was quite.
They're fierce.
Yeah. So
Pretty metal.
that's right.
You say so myself.
That's right. It's that's the name of my new novel, Pretty Metal. I actually kind of like that as a short story idea. I don't know. I just call it Pretty Metal, and then I'll work on the story. I'll figure out the
yeah.
plot.
No, it's got like double meaning to it. I like it.
Yeah. So there, they had, what you sure were bundles of clothes and so on. The father was clearly carrying some sort of very large pack. You find some household items, simple wooden plates and bowls and things like this. Some tools like hammers and chisels, whose they've not lasted particularly well, just
Yeah.
being left here. Um, Not that they're completely unrecoverable, but um, so making some sort of new start in this country and then just not making it, and
Yeah.
um, probably by no means decades and decades, but definitely years.
Mm.
This material has been there.
Yeah.
Um, the This was this was a dining room, right? This was a
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Well, no, it was a room with fireplaces.
well, remember these. There's no bad place for a fireplace in these
Okay.
homes. You know what I mean?
Because there was another dining room that was enormous. That was like
Right.
further up on this side. But
So this may be, and you've been in homes like this. This is not unaccustomed. You're not
yeah.
unaccustomed to this at all.
Yeah.
For very prestigious bedrooms for guests, you might give them a private dining area, and this seems to be what it is.
Yeah.
And it will probably adjoin a parlor, and that parlor will probably adjoin a bedroom,
Yeah.
um, unless they do them across the hall, which is another possibility.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, and of course, with the mountain air, you're not going to be surprised that uh, not every room has a fireplace, but there's some sort of system for warmth, even if it's
Mhm.
bed pans or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to explain something to you that Brise just takes for granted that Max probably doesn't know that there are some rooms that have furniture remaining in them,
Sure.
almost fully intact, and some don't.
Sure.
And it's usually because, I mean, one reason is, of course, because maybe it did have furniture and it's been stolen,
Mhm.
right? Just taken and as opportunity permits, people passing through. The other
Mhm.
reason is that it could have gone. Probably every room was furnished, right? Originally, even when if they didn't live here full time, every room was furnished, ready to go. But if seeing empty rooms, another possibility is that the furniture was moved to another residence as
Okay.
times got hard for this family.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
um, and then they don't bother to replace the furniture yet, or it was put in storage, loaned out to other family members, things like that.
Yeah.
To help start a household for someone, and then it just never gets replaced. Um, as they visit this particular home less frequently.
Yeah.
A family with this sort of money, it's not going to surprise you if they had multiple estates.
Mhm.
Um, this size, perhaps smaller, if they could have had a hunting lodge overlooking a really beautiful vista, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, when you said some of the rooms didn't have furniture, I'm like, what madness is going on here? Like, magically disappear, but it makes sense that, yeah, there's a historical reason.
right,
It's probably completely normal. Yeah.
right. So, like the shelves remain, for instance, but the books are all gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that certainly suggests they were moved.
Mhm.
You're not, I mean, while you could get a lot of money for books, a lot of your thieves don't have the contacts to sell the books,
Right. Exactly.
um, and don't want to lug something that heavy down the mountain and so on. So,
Yeah.
um, but so yeah, so this is a dining room with chairs. Some of the chairs are missing.
Yeah.
Um, your guess is that's probably gone the way of kindling.
Yeah. For fire.
Um, but then likewise, they could be scattered throughout the house as other people came across them and said, "Oh, I find this chair comfortable," and they move it to whatever room that they have
Yeah.
sort of claimed as their own. Um, so, what would you like to do?
If that's all for this room, are there any doors leading into other rooms?
There is there is a door on each side, each end of the room. One
Okay.
beside the fireplace and one just, to the non-fireplace wall.
Yeah.
Um,
If I recall, the other room to the south was curtained, although it's probably a bedroom. I might just open that door and check out.
yeah, it's actually to the north.
Or do you get it
Actually,
mixed up? I thought north is towards like the front of the house and the ballroom and all that.
it is. It
Right. So I was
is.
thinking the one to the south is probably a bedroom because the bedrooms are all on the south side, right?
Well, you probably have sets of parlors and bedrooms on both sides of the house.
Sure.
Right. And so when you were doing your loop around the house,
Hmm.
well, let me just open the map so there's no point in debating. There you are. I got to move that other one down. Oh, you're right. It is one to the south. You're right.
Hmm.
I had it misremembered like a dummy. So, yeah, the door, you just try, you listen first, you try the knob, it opens.
Hmm.
Um, these doors have weathered very well, as has the fixtures that operate them. It opens quietly. Um, it huh. It has lots of furniture stacked in it.
Mm.
Um, what clearly were overstuffed chairs and things like this, real objects of comfort that have long since deteriorated to largely just frames and springs and things like this. Um, um, but it was almost stacked to the ceiling here. To tell what it is now, difficult to say. Fireplace on the far wall. But you're sort of looking through the skeletons of furniture. Um, and the drapes were drawn presumably, to protect it from sunlight and so on when they
Yeah.
weren't being used. Um,
Obi-Wan says, Max is like, yes, I was right. That's when I want to use my miracle roll on. Just, I'm right next time. I'm correct.
I think we all know that that's the best thing to use the miracle roll for. Is just
Yeah,
being right. It's just so
being
much
right.
fun.
So good. So good. I outsmart the game master.
It's not that hard. We all know that. Um, this guy is not this guy is not the brightest. We know it's embarrassing. Um, so, um, what would you like to do? The next room, as you understand it, should be the what you call it, the dang it, um, uh, drawing a blank. Should be the massive dining room.
Right. And I kind of want to check out that next. So we'll go
Okay.
north and check that out.
All right. Step out into the hall. Um, check for things. Um, walk down, quietly, cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you do pass. Boom.
Quinn, I don't know if you want to say that on on the stream. Now everyone's going to know how much of a bad son you are.
What do I want to know what he says?
I accidentally locked my mom out of the house, then went to sleep this evening.
Oh,
She
that's
was so
fantastic.
mad. Bigly.
That's fantastic. That's a hoot.
It was pretty good.
Um,
Let's all tell embarrassing stories about ourselves now.
that's right. Um, so as you cross the way, there's a room that's open to the courtyard. It's got to be very close to where the large toad climbed up the
Mm.
the wall.
Yeah.
Its door is open, and it seems to be another games room.
Mm.
Um, and there is just as you pass, I mean, you kind of, you don't want to walk past an open door and be ambushed, but
Yeah.
it's um, there is a sort of mosaic on the wall that you are certain has to be an early or version of a game you have played. Um, and it's like checkers. It's like a checkerboard,
Yeah.
somewhat larger, maybe 3 feet by 3 feet. It's done like with tile work
Yeah.
on the wall, and and you would throw basically little globs of dough,
Mm.
and they would be colored dough, and you'd throw um, uh, to the wall. They would stick on various squares, and that was the means of play. And here is one on the wall. Now you know that this is a woman's game.
Mm.
That's men do not would not play that in your society. They would, and so this may be, two gender based. This may be the females' game room, the
Interesting.
women's game room. Um, um,
Yeah, that would catch my eye. I might just detour and check out that room really quick, see if there's
sure.
other familiar things in there.
Um, you go in. There's the remains of couches against every wall. Um, there is a there's one strange table that's like a lectern.
Mm.
What many people mistakenly call a podium.
Yeah.
Um, and what the heck is going on there? That is not what I wanted. Um, and it's in the back portion of the room. Um, it's actually facing some of the couches. It's broader than a lectern. It's almost 3 feet wide. Um, you know,
Yeah,
uh,
big desk. It's like, yeah.
but it's chest high and it faces the couches. It's clearly meant to hold. Um, it's clearly meant to hold a book or papers or something. There's
Yeah.
also metal clips affixed across the top, um, 4 metal clips,
Mm.
such that you could slide paper up underneath them. Um, like large playing cards about that size is what it would hold. Although I guess you could have just clipped something large to it too.
Yeah.
But it seems to be facing corner of couches as though meant to address them.
Yeah.
Um, it's very strange.
I guess maybe something you would like. It's a game or something. You would stand there and I don't know, have to like have stuff ready. Maybe they maybe they played role playing.
That's it.
Roll their notes there, and is there any dice, any space to roll dice?
Yeah, there's a internet connection. There's a ring
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic. The lectern has the house bird. For our listeners, is to remind you that the society used birds to represent their particular houses, and and the house bird here is is
What was it again?
it's a sparrow like bird. Is that right?
Think so. Definitely a smaller bird.
Right. Um, I lost a room while we were talking. I was labeling while we were talking, and my room disappeared on my map. It's
Nice.
never good, you know.
Magic.
That's it. It's really strange. I don't know what's happened to. Oh well. I will redraw it. Um, um, so, so yeah, the house bird adorns the sides and front the um, of the um, of the lectern, and then like the edge work is clearly the gods. Um, um, of this pantheon, right? The owl,
Yeah.
the swan, and the eagle,
Yeah.
as well as the Iron Empress herself, shown at the bottom. That they've really given that to her, and you see this. Her serpents are crawling from her feet out along the edge of the base of the lectern. Um, if you had to guess, in the what do you call that? I guess the back of the lectern, it has spaces for shelves, and there's actually doors there that open. So it's basically a cabinet for storing things. Those are clearly added later because it's got metal embossed work showing what you would consider the modern pantheon.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so, um,
Yeah, I noticed that on the front door too. That the front door had both gods actually on them in the same like work.
right,
So it definitely shows that change of cultures.
right. And a lot of these, well, including yourself, right? The halflings have a god called Admea. You've seen the temples, which are called chime houses. I mean, you grew up with them,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't dismiss the existence of that god.
Right.
You assume it exists. You assume that it's out there and is a living, breathing entity interacting with the world. And if you were, say, in her country, you wouldn't particularly, especially if things were going badly, you wouldn't mind going to a chime house and providing an offering.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so um, so yeah, yeah, very curious. So there's some tables that have been shoved up against the wall. Um, Maybe they're a little large for what you would consider like a card table.
Mm.
Um, but then who knows what sports the idle rich had during that era. So, what would you like to do next?
Well, that was an interesting little exploration in this room. I think I'll go out this room and try to find the dining room again.
Yep, you just head further up. There's sort of a dog leg to the hall.
Mm.
And there is the what would they have put there? Probably not that. There's a couple of small rooms that you pass that are closed. And then there's a hall that So you go through the dog leg, and there's smaller rooms. There's a room and then a hall that leads directly to the courtyard, what would be the northmost area of the courtyard.
Yeah. Okay.
And then beyond that is another room. The other side of the hall, on your right, are the massive double doors that would allow entry into the dining room and would allow the dining room to empty directly into the courtyard. Not directly, but into that, you cross the hall, go into the hall that
Yeah.
empties into the courtyard, and there you would,
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
so
Smart.
that you go directly from dinner to sport.
Yeah.
Um, so the dining room doors are closed.
Let's give them a
Um,
push.
but they have been marred by blows.
Okay. Let's wait.
Interesting. Things have apparently a residue splattered with each impact on the doors. Some of the embossing showing again the gods in various scenes as well as the house bird. Um, some of those have been dented by the force of the blows. A blow, you guess, of something sort of circular, and low. But they're at your knees, these blows,
Yeah.
but they've left a sticky residue to which now every little bit of, twig and leaf that has blown in is has adhered.
Mm.
Um, your first thought, given the height of them, is the hammerworm that you killed, a creature that Brise fought, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, on an earlier episode. But if that's the case, uh, what is the residue? I mean,
Mhm.
you've dealt with two of these hammerworms now. They didn't have a residue.
No.
Um,
A halfling with honey gloves.
that's it.
Yeah.
Finally, I knew you would figure it out. I had
I
no
don't know why
doubt.
that my first thought was like a gooey creature that's really small, like punching the door for some reason.
Gooey but delicious.
You know, it
Um,
could also be if something's really tall and like kicking height, maybe that too. But if they're circular, I know that's interesting.
right. So, well, I mean, still, you think a foot would make that, or a knee would make that.
Yeah, could
Um,
be anything. Yeah.
what would you like to do? I mean, we could have you listen to the door, obviously.
Yeah.
There is, and you looked in there before as you walked.
Yes.
Um,
It's on the outskirts. So.
and you didn't see anything in there of concern.
Mm.
You may recall that all the chairs seem to be there. I mean, but the handle post, that is the knobs on the
Yeah.
top of your chairs, they have been hacked off, which means that they're upset. No, it so they must have been adorned with a precious metal or something
Yeah.
decorative of value.
Right.
Um, and so you're fairly confident there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
But it does beg the question, well, what couldn't get in here,
Right. Chose these doors and realized. Or whatever. Let me investigate the residue a bit. I'll just kind of sniff it, feel it with my fingers.
Taste it, of course. This is how I'm going to kill
Ingest.
Brees, everybody. I'm going to have,
Puff it.
I mean, Obi-Wan and Quinn and I, we've had many conversations, as well as Josh. We've had many conversations about the fact that you can have these like really sort of hostile game masters, right? Who, just have your characters do the stupidest stuff to put you in danger.
Mm.
Like, oh yeah, well no, you lick the door. What do you mean I lick the door? Why don't you
What are you talking about?
lick your balls? That's ridiculous.
I'd rather lick the door.
Roll
Sorry.
for me.
No offense. 6.
Has no particular smell. Color is black. But you don't know, of course, if it was originally black or if it blackens with age. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a confusion. Um, um,
You give it a little touch as well, like with the try to pull a twig out, see if how tough it is.
it comes off fairly easily, and in fact crumbles a little bit. It's clearly marred the door. It's taken off some of the relief, some of the detail of the relief, and so maybe it's slightly acidic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll try to. Is the door locked? Then let's try to push on it. Back up.
Opens just marvelously.
Hmm.
Roll for me.
89.
Which means that whatever did this didn't have hands.
Yeah, didn't know how to open door. Couldn't get it open.
You hear leaves get pushed aside by these two doors as they swing wide. And there is just, it's an enormous table. The room is the size of some peasants' homes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's trying to give you an equivalent. Well, you could probably park 5 cars end to end.
Nice.
And the table is one
It's the
long.
garage.
That's right. That's right. So the ceiling here is a little bit lower than the other ceilings, and that's to allow it to have a domed effect.
Yeah.
And there you have
Quinn says, our pun has gone unacknowledged. We are not amused. Oh, I acknowledge your pun, Quinn, and I did not laugh at all.
sorry, Quinn. I am on the map, so I
His
am just like
his
I'm not
pun
even.
was when I was looking at the lectern. He's like, is it Hannibal lectern?
Oh, that's terrible.
Really bad.
That's
-5 Karandrin points.
man, burn.
Subtract them now.
He is a Brise is in a punishing mood because of your terrible pun.
Punishing. There you go.
Oh, my bad. That's my bad.
Punishment. Okay.
So you have in this domed mural. It's the 4 gods in there and sort of cardinal points. The eagle points to the east, then the owl, then the Iron Empress points to the west,
Okay.
and the swan is in the south.
And sorry, say that again. They're at in the ceiling, painted on.
So it's a dome. It's a dome. They lower the ceiling so they then produce a domed effect, right?
Yeah.
So that there's room for the dome to arch. And what you have is the gods in their cardinal is apparently assigned cardinal points.
Yeah.
Make a note. I gotta make a note of.
something interesting. I did come across 4 statues of them, and I wonder if they were assigned like in that cardinality as well.
They were in a line.
Oh, were they in a line or were they 4 by 4?
They were in a line down. If you're talking about the ones down the slope, they're
I'm talking about the one in the valley that I kind of made my way off.
yeah. Well, it's down the slope from this level,
Oh,
from the
okay.
level of the estate. You
Sure.
can remember there were benches where it seemed
Yeah.
that you could sit and look down
Yeah.
the slope of the mountain, and then it leveled off again. And there they put,
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. So, but in the center is a very large painting um, of the songbird, sparrow, what have you, that represents this household.
Yeah.
There are several. There's one large one. There's several smaller ones. One's at a nest.
Yeah.
There seems to be. Well, I should probably have you roll for me.
48.
So there seems to be some attempt to change the features of the birds. Like you're like, that bird has a different color eye. That bird is clearly the same species, but they've given it just a little red on the top, and you're wondering if it's sort of prominent features of family members that the birds represent.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Um, um, the dull colored birds must be female, and they're usually depicted with near a nest or in a nest.
Yeah.
Um, but clearly, there's a whole sort of symbology going on here. It is sort of a cloudy background, sort of a not cloudy. It is a bright white cloud filled background.
Yeah.
And then you have some trees and branches reaching through where the birds can perch. Our center largest bird is in flight. Um, what would you like to do?
Okay. Let's kind of walk around the room, see if we find anything interesting. Take a look at if there's any kind of other artwork, to the tables or the chairs or anything else around.
The carvings, um, especially at the feet, are human figures. And they're sort of sort of are at the very feet, and then you have another human figure standing above them, and some of the faces have clearly been altered
Hmm.
um, with varying skill to appear goblin.
Oh, wow.
Um, clearly with goblins being a full foot shorter, it's hard to get the proportions right on a lot of these guys, and all these. But the figures are clearly very idiosyncratic to the individual. There are heavier people, there are taller people, there are shorter people.
Yeah.
Hairstyles mattered. There is clearly attempts to have them hold something that showed their work in life. These clearly represented individuals.
Hmm.
Well, at least I'm not licking poisonous doors.
Rather be doing that on a Wednesday night than
That's right. That's a good time. I don't care who you are. That's a good time licking poisonous doors. Um, so as you sort of pull a chair out, um, there seems to be the seats here have either been reworked or replaced to
Hmm.
show scenes of goblin history, goblin family, something like that.
Okay.
There are pictures um, um, of like goblins farming on terraced works in the mountains.
Yeah.
Um, there's it's depictions of goblin life that the seats have been um, depict. Whether that was, it's unlikely it was original, of course,
Yeah.
but did they simply carve into the existing seat or replace it? There's no way to tell.
Yeah.
The work is done with considerable skill.
Okay.
Um, um, Fireplace at both ends. Um, Heavy wrought iron um, uh, wood cradles, if you know what I mean, to place logs for the fire
Yeah.
and so on. I grew up with a fireplace, and so the things that you set the logs on, we called them fire dogs,
Huh, really?
and because they look like dogs. Ours, they have a
Yeah.
curve up and a head.
Yeah.
I mean, you could call them fire lizards just as effectively. Honestly, they could kind of look like dragons, except they lack a tail. But anyway, Obi-Wan had never heard that, and I was it's just weird, like the little regional things
Yeah.
that you don't know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Same with me.
um, there are paintings here on the wall as well as carvings, and as you would expect, there's a lot of sort of mixed goblin and human um, caricature, and the goblins were oddly respectful of a lot of the original artwork, even when it came to things like just representations of the family.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so um, roll for me.
16.
They did have some fun with it, however, and so you have sometimes, especially in the carvings, like at doorposts and things like that, where clearly you've got human scenery coming up,
Hmm.
and then you'll have goblins, sort of in a very generalized, mischievous way. That is, they seem more generic than some of the other figures you've seen.
Yeah.
They're doing things like clearly the door frame has been cut and then new ones replaced, although matching the wood very well, and they're, for instance, pouring water on the head of the individual below, which is entirely, a goblin's humor, as
Yeah.
you
Very. I was gonna
experience.
say very goblinish.
And so the
Yeah.
ones going up are sort of goblins in play, um, in sport. Um,
Right.
um, One lighting another one's butt with a torch, kind of
Yeah.
just fun. And they're plumper generally, and more, they're almost cherub in proportion.
Yeah.
Um, and while you knew a number of goblins, you didn't know a lot of very, very wealthy ones. And so
Yeah.
exactly the role of the carving here, you don't know. Um, but certainly their sense of humor is one of your favorite things about them.
Yeah.
Um,
Pretty delightful. I actually was gonna say, have I been to in my youth? Have I been to a place as grand as like this? Um,
yes,
okay.
yes.
This I'm
Around
kind of I probably just kind of subconsciously compared to be like, oh,
This is probably one of the larger homes you've ever been to.
yeah,
Um, but you grew up in Grattan, Wow, and so there's these would have eventually been moved out, been built outside around the town. They're just simply
Yeah.
too large for the town to support.
Yeah.
So, um, all right, what would you like to do? You want to take a break here, maybe?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks for watching and listening. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. As always, go and check out Brise's notes and her character sheet. And
Gotta post the link though and see.
oh, excuse me, I will do that. It's also in your description.
Mhm.
Um, I wonder if I still have this. I have other stuff in my. There we go. Boop. There you go. And we love donations. If you love us, we will give you many Karandrin points for donations to help us keep streaming and upgrade things and so on. So, but we'll be right back. We'll grab yourself something to drink and we'll be back for part 2. So thanks for hanging out with us. Alrighty. Hello, gang. We're back. Thanks for hanging out with us through the break. Um, we were exploring a massive dining room in this mansion.
Screw the dining room. I want to find the kitchen. I'm hungry.
That's right. Hey, you had a few minutes on the break to get something to eat.
Well, I couldn't. Shout out to whoever Nina is spam texting me. I don't know. They're like, I'm waiting for your message. And I said, who is this? And like, I'm Nina. You don't remember me? It's like, Nina, if you're here, I don't remember you.
I have kept long conversations going with people like that.
Really?
Oh man, it's so much fun. I asked about if if their husband got first chair at the Boston Orchestra, how the orangutan farm was going.
That's so funny.
Did Jill ever get that prosthetic leg? I mean, I was going, and of course they don't want to, um, they don't want to get rumbled, and so they just play along with every ridiculous. I mean, just did their pet llama die? I mean, I just went on and on and on. Did his patent get approved for something? I don't even remember. I mean, I was just going on. I've done it twice now, and it's been a delight.
I had a supervisor at an old company I worked at who, whenever he'd get like spam, well, it was a utility company, so they'd get spam calls for like, the utility. Oh, we're here to collect our bill or something, and they called the supervisor. He's like, really? He's like, okay, well, walk me through the steps. And he's like going through the steps on his computer. He's like, it's not working for me. Is it because of all the porn I watch on my computer? Is that why? And then the other people were just getting really flustered, like, and eventually just hung up on him. Really good.
Quinn introduced me to the idea of
Poisonous
no.
residue.
He introduced me to the concept of these people who film the interactions with these people, and then they themselves are as skilled at computers or more so than the person, than the scammer.
Yeah.
And they take over the scammer's machine and delete stuff. And
that's great. Obi-Wan Karen also got texted by Nina, so it's a we have in common there.
Oh wow, I'm feeling left out.
Really funny. Yeah, I'll start a group chat with all of us.
Oh,
Nina,
Lord.
Karen, and you, Kevin.
Oh my Lord, that would be great.
Just bring everyone in. It's like, hey, you've all been texting us.
That's fantastic. There's a TED talk where a guy did this by email, and he's showing his emails and so on, and that was hilarious. It was so good. It was just really humorous, and like it went down to something like a free toaster and getting like, well, do I get a free toaster if I open this bank account you want me to open? And no, I'm really interested in the toaster, like really pushing them on the toaster. And like, I think he sent a picture of one from a sale, and he's like, this is the one I was thinking you guys could give away if I open this account. I mean, it was just, oh, so good.
Magnificent.
So, well, let's
get back into it. So you said there were also hanging art, like hanging paintings. Is that
there's art directly? It's murals painted directly onto the wall.
Okay.
And so, you have a lot of human scenes going. There are paintings of cities, like in valleys, and you've probably been to both the large goblin cities a couple of times in your life.
Yeah.
And so, because they're mountainous cities, because they're, you should, this is where you're going. Oh, Obi-Wan wants me to tell the story of my wife's grandfather getting a phone call by a scammer who called and said, hey, we're with Microsoft, and it's about time to update your Windows. We think there's a security concern.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the grandfather, Papa, we called him, Oh, hey, Arpan, welcome to the stream.
Just in time.
Yeah, so we're talking about my wife's grandfather getting a call from a scammer, and Papa, we called him, and Papa loved apples. He was always an Apple guy, so he had apples, Apple computers, Macintosh, and so so the guy said, we're worried about your windows, and Papa said, well, the only windows I have are in my house, and they seem fine. So thanks a lot. Hung up on. So,
That's
um,
funny.
and Obi-Wan Karen has done one when she was at her work. I mean, oh, there's so much fun to do. Um, you're
Talk about
exploring.
mountainous city, because it's mountainous in the
Oh,
mural.
sorry, yeah. So looking at you don't recognize, like, you top a rise and you go down into the valley where the city is, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain view. You get a certain immediate view that you don't get from flatland cities,
Hmm.
hillier cities. Even it's not as dramatic.
Mm.
Um, but so you have a sense, like if you saw a picture of Gorb, which is the northernmost city, or Hanrock, which is the southernmost city, you would get a sense of it. You could probably figure out which one it is, right?
Yeah.
And these are large cities that you don't recognize. Um, so here, you've got a um, human family with goods for sale, clearly farmers and so on,
Mm.
coming down a valley road, overlooking this large city. And
Yeah.
it's neither Hanrock nor Gore, which would be the two largest cities nearby in the mountains.
Well, could it
Uh,
be them from a different date? Maybe thousands of years ago, or
yeah, I mean it's possible, and it's possible this is a city that no longer exists.
yeah.
Um, you know that the city to your south, immediately south, the name of which has just escaped me. Shoot, what is that city? Anyway, there's a dwarven city, but it's a dwarven hold,
Mm.
and so but you didn't pass through there because you guys teleported. So you've
Mm.
not been to that city. Man, I almost had it. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Um,
You go back to the map here if they'll help you. Help you remember or
That's
somewhere in there.
exactly. Man, I wish man, it's the northernmost city and major city in Avalar, and I can't think of it. But so I mean, yeah, it's very interesting. And there's another city
Yeah. Is
at
there anything
the
distinctive about the cities, like buildings or that stand out or colors or something?
massive obelisks.
Oh, okay.
Um, so the first city has at least four very distinct obelisks, evenly dispersed through the city,
Ooh.
um, and it is walled.
Mm.
The other city built off a large lake. Um,
Mm.
the lake backs up to a cliff. Um, it has two obelisks and domes seem a prominent um, architectural feature.
Mm.
Um, you see them throughout.
Okay. When you say obelisks, you mean just like general large structures, or do you mean like literally the stone obelisks that are like outside?
I mean like the Washington Monument.
Right. Just like
Y-
tall
yes,
geometric structures. Yeah.
that particular shape. Um, they're very they're very dark gray
Mhm.
in the one where the obelisk sort of seemed to really stand out in the city. All
Yeah.
four are dark gray. All four are Captain Silver or Dare We Hope Mithril.
A lot of mithril.
Georgia's Capitol building, its dome is covered in gold, a thin layer of gold, mined
Yeah.
all in Georgia.
Wow. Cool. And they ran out of gold.
That's very true. That's the area's Dahlonega. I believe it's Dahlonega had the big gold rush in Georgia, in North Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
But the type of gold it has is the type that is bound in quartz,
Oh, yeah.
and it's very expensive to remove. And there's
Uh,
not, and so after the easy gold was gone, then that was it.
yeah. It went
You know,
dry.
but figuring that little geochemistry out, though, that's going to be another gold rush in all those areas that have the
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Once they get a more accurate method, it's easy
yeah,
to do.
just a more cost effective method. Um, that'll be another rush in that area. Um, so in the second city, it's got docks out on the lake. The lake is large enough, clearly, to be navigable.
Yeah.
And so it's got docks. There seem to be some settlements that are built out on the water that are apart from the city. And here
Yeah.
you have a family of humans um, driving sheep to market.
Okay.
Um, what would you like to do, sir?
Okay. Um, if that's all of the room, then I'll. Are there any other doors leading to other rooms? Maybe one that might lead into a kitchen.
There is a pair of doors. Uh, Weird. Felt a breeze come through. On either side um, of the north wall, there's a door. There's a door that flanks each side of the fireplace. Very large doors.
Okay.
Roll for me.
31.
No question. That's going to lead to the ballroom.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take those and check out the ballroom then. Well, this is interesting to everyone else. It was really fascinating, just kind of like walking through and seeing and there's a little bit of mystery too of like what are these cities or what these people kind of did. Um, I enjoy it.
Josh, ages ago, played a really interesting one where he was exploring an underground settlement, and there it had sort of the depiction of the downfall of the settlement.
Oh yeah,
Survivors had painted, and
cool.
I enjoyed playing. That was years ago. Good lord, that was probably 20 years ago,
Wow.
and that was really enjoyable to do. So you walk under through the doors, and the first thing you're startled to learn is that looking from the outside, you miss the fact that there's a balcony that extends all the way around the ballroom,
Oh, okay.
where
On the
people from the
second floor.
second floor can come and watch and so on.
Yeah.
Um, and part of the reason you missed it, you realize, is that it's because it's painted to blend in with the scenery, all the work.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Obi-Wan smacking down on your age.
And I'm a quarter of a century old. Okay,
That's right.
I'm getting up there. I'm in the double digits.
That's right. Um,
My year in binary is like 20 digits long. Okay.
so take that.
Real.
Um, the underneath the balconies, um, there is what you took to be details of the painting, but it's actually three-dimensional. And so it's things like wisps of cloud if there's cloud, or no, it's the branch of a tree if there's a tree there. All ornately carved and painted and acting as a support for the upstairs balcony.
Oh, very cool.
There is no stairway down into the floor onto the dance floor. There are 4 heavy chandeliers suspended by chain. And they're in too good of shape, you would say.
Oh, yeah, definitely some magical protection.
So here is also a hearth that is to warm our dancers. And it's massive. You could almost put a horse in there.
Yeah. Has to be.
So you just sort of walk around the floor, and you get that sort of very romantic feeling of just the grandeur of what it must have been like to have been invited to a ball here.
Yeah.
There are a massive set of double doors that lead out. So I guess they would be pointing to the west and sort of toward the interior of the house. Logically, you think this would be pointing probably to some either the primary foyer of the whole home or some secondary foyer that's off of that foyer.
Right, a place for guests to enter in and
right.
proceed to the ballroom.
Those doors are closed. They have been stripped clearly of adornment, which means the adornment must have been easy to remove. The wood itself is high quality wood, beautiful grain, but there's no work done on it, probably because, all the rivet marks you can see along, up the way was the embossed metalwork that they had put all over it.
Right.
And those are gone. What would you like to do?
Okay. Well, we'll move through, see where the big double doors lead to, if they lead into we or not.
They open outward. You stand and listen. You're definitely in sort of areas where you've not been able to peer into. As you're listening, you hear something move upstairs.
Does it sound similar to what I heard before? There were like
roll
90.
Yes.
Okay.
From the balcony, there is a door leading west also, just as these do. Presumably, that's the entry to the balcony, and it's going to lead to stairs.
Wait, say that again. There's a door that is the entry to the balcony.
So in the balcony level.
Right. Oh, there are doors on the west wall, is what you're saying.
Right. At the balcony level, there's a door. I should check and make sure that this is going to make sense. It doesn't really matter. I can kind of hand wave to fix it. All right. What would you like to do?
I'll wait just a minute before I leave until the noise dies down, because it might be very close to where I am. If there are stairs.
Don't forget your ability to levitate if you want
Right.
to directly investigate. The movement is now going further away.
Okay.
To the point that you can no longer hear it.
All right, and then we'll continue on, push through the doors, and maybe head upstairs soon and deal with whoever's making that racket. Quiet down up there.
That's right.
Trying to explore an abandoned mansion.
That's right. Yeah, it's all gonna do this. That's fine. Sorry, I'm tweaking something.
I've been meaning to use the presence spell for a while now. Increases apparent experience and power by 10 levels. That sounds really fun. Might cast that before I go upstairs.
That's Gandalf talking to Bilbo when Bilbo.
Basically, yeah. When he, yeah.
I'm not trying to rob you.
Speaking of minutes per level, I guess my potion's worn off. Potion of greater protection.
No, it's still
Okay.
going.
Okay, sounds good.
Still going. I gotta make a note on here that you've got the patching jerkin as well.
Right.
Sorry, gang. All right. The doors open. There's no lock to them, nor does there seem to have ever been. They open. There's not a lot of light here. Even spilling from the windows. And there were no windows in the front. Once you got past the ballrooms.
Okay.
And so
that's right.
Not the greatest scene here. Not the greatest vision here. But it is a massive and grand foyer that, from your perspective, is very long. So it stretches across the front of the house, right?
Right.
But it is pretty easily twice the size of the ballroom.
Wow.
And the
Jesus.
ballroom, the ballroom is, 50 by 50 or something,
Right.
50 by 60.
Right. Trying
So,
to look at like my room and be like, it's like 20 of my rooms.
Right. You realize that you're again underneath something, and what it is so as you push through the doors, the doorway that you saw upstairs on the balcony should be then above you and to the left.
Yes.
And so now you're actually underneath some other floor or whatever, but you realize that you're sort of in this little cubby hole that's sort of grand with the doors, and basically it allows a landing, and then an arc of stairs sweeps down toward the front of the building.
Okay.
And so that allows entry immediately from the front doors, the doors that face north, these enormous double doors. and so that people can spill in and either go to the first floor or the second floor of
Yeah.
either ballroom.
Yeah.
Um, so it might be time for your lantern,
Yeah.
your floating lantern, if you want to.
Just kind of scan, for any movement. No one's here. Then I'll pull up the lantern.
Well, you could even pull the doors to, kneel down, and um, make them come through the doors if there's anything out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just scan and make sure that.
Okay.
Lantern, yeah.
Light it up. And let its light flow. It's man, it's the full light of it can't even cast all the way across, but it does reach
Cavernous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really large. There are also stairs in the center. So as you're looking across the foyer, here you've got the doors that you assume lead out to the front, or probably to that front annex
Yeah.
that you were, that you were wary of trying to push those doors open. And then you've got the stairs, that sweep down over your head. They
Right.
end some 30 feet before the doors that lead out to that annex, that front annex. But against this wall, then you have the stairs that sweep straight up to the second level where all the bedrooms are.
Yeah.
There are windows to the courtyard up above, letting in some light, but the overgrowth has really kind of choked them down. Um, it's fairly clean in here, some leaves and so on, but without windows to break, not a lot of stuff has made it, this far down.
Yeah.
All the windows are intact up above. So you've sort of got whatever is upstairs does have several ways down to you.
Yeah.
Down past the ballroom balcony, and then down also from the interior stairs that lead up to the second floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stairs to the second floor, they go up, then they split. They go up to a landing, and then the landing allows another set of stairs to go up to the second level.
Yeah.
And then they go to each of the the sort of donut of a rectangle, right? They lead to either side of the bedrooms and things like that. It's otherwise very empty,
except for the dragon in the middle of the room.
one of my early flaws as a game master is I would put a creature in a large room,
right,
but then not realize that, hey, there is no way the creature can exit this room.
Should have gotten in or out, yeah.
And that's an early game master. That's a rookie mistake that I used to make all the time. And this would be the perfect place for it.
Right.
You could put a real dragon in here and at least as a bed chamber, right? With its mound of gold, because this is probably 120 foot across, this place.
So that does create for an interesting mystery, right? How did it get in there?
Right.
Make it obvious enough.
So. And maybe this is one sneaky bastard, and no, that whole annex thing you saw, the doors, all of that's all an illusion.
Oh yeah.
They just walks through that.
Yeah.
And people leave him alone,
Or it's a giant octopus and they can just squeeze through anything.
Do you know the Family Guy joke about the giant squid?
I think so. You might have mentioned it before. I know.
Yeah, they're like, it's as a, look, we can deal with this problem. I mean, we dealt with a giant squid, and so the giant squid is sitting at the breakfast table with them, and they're just talking as though it's not there, and then it takes its tentacles and knocks off all the breakfast and glares at them, and the wife goes, "Oh, it was just a wind," and Peter goes, "Oh, a truck passing by." Just ignore that it's there.
As I tell with the giant squid, it's so funny, so unexpected.
Um,
Oh my
all
god.
right, sir.
Yeah. So I'm planning to go up to the second room and investigate what this noise is. Deal with it before it deals with me.
Okay.
So I want to climb these stairs and maybe try to follow it in the direction I think it
You want to climb the ballroom stairs, or do you want to
went.
climb the sort of the main front stairs?
The main front, yeah.
Okay. And we're going super sneaky.
Yes, and let me cast my presence. Let's do that.
Okay.
You know, that spell, second level. Do that at cast.
All right, roll it.
93.
Lovely. No exhaustion
Nice.
loss from it. How long does it last?
9 minutes.
So let's make it 12 minutes.
Okay.
Dang it. I was trying to find your stalk hat. There it is, right there. Alrighty, roll to sneak. Not super difficult.
17. It's my presence. It's like every time I take a step, like boom. Oh, crap. Should have snuck first.
Damn it! The spell gives me a theme song. Dun dun dun. So yeah, there's some. Yeah, there's some leaves on the stairs that are definitely making noise. Um, you pause as soon as that happens. You made it basically to the top of the first landing.
I'd have my spear and shield out as well.
Okay. Roll for me.
72.
You're definitely hearing the movement approaching. You believe you've been heard.
Okay. Anywhere I can hide, or not really?
The stairs, have stone. I don't know, railing. For if it's comes down those stairs, if you hide on the near side and crouch down, yes, but you will be fighting on the stairs at that point.
Right. Maybe it's better to strategically get on the landing fully.
Right.
Yeah.
And just
let's get on the landing. I wouldn't want it to see me and strike me on the stairs.
Well, the thing is, you're definitely going to be seen if it turns the corner, although, you're watching for it and it doesn't know what to expect. It's definitely going to see you if it comes out out that door that leads to the second level at the top of the stairs.
That's what I'm saying. I'd hedge my bets on being prepared to fight rather than trying to hide.
Footing versus,
continue up a little more noisily now just to get to the landing.
It's clearly coming closer and closer. You said you want to move up to the second landing?
Yeah. Be on solid footing.
All right, roll to sneak.
Well, I'm kind of going fast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd rather just get there.
Roll to just charge up the way.
95.
Roll again and add it.
I fly off the stairs. 78.
Wow. Up you go. Oh, your lantern. What you doing with your lantern? You're gonna.
Have it follow me. Yeah, I need some.
Or you don't want it to lead the way.
Oh yeah, good idea. So I don't miss my step.
Up you go. Make it to the door. Very broad door, at least these very broad halls. Light spills across the way. Roll perception.
37.
Oh, yeah. This thing did not do much better. You were shocked to see a dark humanoid with a loincloth and belt. So it's less than 6 foot high. It has smooth black skin. It has, let's see, yes. It has no hands. It has just tentacles at the end. It has a head that is broad and flat. And the top is surprisingly flat as well. And it is it has no visible facial features, no eyes, no nose, no nostrils, no mouth. It wears at its belt a small red pouch. So it is about 50 feet away. This is going to be an interesting. This is going to be very interesting. It snarls and a mouth just kind of unzips.
Ugh.
And there are very sharp teeth in its broad mouth. It moves its head as though it can see you. Roll for initiative.
All right. 80.
All right. What would you like to do? What's your plan here?
My plan is to this is a person who isn't really big on violence and fighting. I'm just going to try to defend and stay back unless it gets really aggressive. So I guess I'll make sure I'm holding up my shield and say I just address it in thanks. Like what are you doing here?
It's taken aback when you speak to it.
Or also my presence. I don't know if you're taking that into account.
Oh, that's true, right?
What are you doing?
What are you doing here? Take two.
Yeah, you're like a huge filter.
It's that just crazy mouth. It opens from one side, and then it opens and closes, opens and
so weird.
And it begins mimicking your speech, like almost. Well, roll for me.
90. Roll.
It's clearly trying to sound out the words that you made. And it's sorry, I had to shift positions here. So it mouths what and eventually comes out with, what are you doing here? But it is clearly afraid of you and begins to back away.
Okay. Why don't I make a show of that I don't mean it harm? I guess I can I don't want to lay down my weapon.
You can remember it's a spear, so you can prop it up very easily.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I'll just set my spear, in arm's reach. Just set it aside and say, "I don't mean to harm you."
Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
this is fine. Come on.
It is. It is. I'm resisting the urge to attack it immediately. I hope I'm not going to regret this choice of trying to be diplomatic. The ooze creature, tentacles.
It says now with intent, not just mimicking. What are you doing here, Lord? Oh, I should have you roll, actually. Forgive me. You should roll.
68.
You have heard of these creatures.
Oh, okay.
I should do that whenever you meet something new.
Yeah, I assumed I didn't hear about it.
Right. This is what is known as a dark lash.
Dark Lash.
They're voracious. They will basically eat any living thing. They are generally not friendly at all.
Okay.
Roll for me.
200.
Roll again and subtract it.
Minus 44.
Oh, that's fantastic. You think that you just surprised it, and it's so out of sorts that you've sort of got what am I trying to say? You sort of really caught it at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't know how to react. And you feel like, you've got some sort of influence over it. Like you have a window of opportunity here, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. If I know that they're unfriendly, voracious creatures, I probably would have attacked anyway. But now that I know that I have like this, I can use that appropriately. So I'll say, I guess I know they're pretty bad creatures. What would I say then? To get him, I want to get him out of the mansion, basically. To say, leave this place. I command you to leave. I'm here to tell you that you're no longer welcome here, and you should flee now.
Roll for how well you deliver that.
Okay. 93.
It takes its tentacles and raises them, and just sort of lays them across its head. They dangle, the tentacles dangle down the back, and it sort of bows. What seeking gift would you have from me, Lord?
Did you say? What seeking gift would you have for me?
From me.
From me. I can ask for. What's that? What's that? His pouch? Just say that. I'm curious. Whatever you have in your pouch. That'll do. And then let's say that.
You are a hard lord. And then it, the tentacles can just, move. It's just really creepy. They're very long.
Yeah.
They're about as long as your torso. And so without moving his upper arms or his lower arms, they just turn to the pouch and work it.
Yeah.
And he approaches you with his head bowed. And he presents to you each little tentacle has one each. You get 2 yellow gems, 2 orange gems, a blue gem, and a black gem.
Oh.
You can leave yourself a note whenever you want to get them appraised that they are in class. There, that letter.
N.
Yeah.
Like the Hebrew aleph looks like an N. So I don't know that though, but I need to get them appraised. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you intend to convert them into coin,
anyway. Okay, yeah.
That's whenever you want to convert them for coin or barter, right? You don't know that, so do put it in brackets as square brackets.
Yeah.
So I know the British called parentheses brackets, but
of course they do. They mix up everything.
They ruin everything.
Flashlights and all that.
To all our British listeners, we really appreciate your patronage. And please donate 100 euros or 500 pounds to my diet. He presents them, remains bowed, goes out, and you hear him just walking down the hall now downstairs.
I'll follow him till he's out of sight. I like with my eyes.
Well, if you continually follow him,
no,
I would be out of sight.
To the ends of the earth. He's just walking like that. Exactly. This is my adventure now, following this creature. with my eyes, follow him till he moves.
Yeah. So, you sort of just step to the balcony and let him pass, step to the landing. When you watch him go, when he goes back down the eastern hallway that you've been exploring, the northern half of, with the dining room, the ballroom, and so on. Presumably, he could pass out of go through one of the broken windows, like where the ghost girl was, and so off he goes. You do hear him climb through glass, and there you are.
Nice. That was very cool. I'll keep that in mind. Is that a behavior I would have known about them? Like they can be intimidated?
No, you were really shocked that it responded to language. And why don't you roll for me?
Sure. 4. All right. On with the adventure. That happened. And just continue on.
I'm actually, because it's right at 9, and it does seem like a great stopping point.
Yeah. It was.
If you're up for that, if you think it'd be a good place to stop. That was crazy. So so that was a Dark Lash. You not know much about their origins.
Pussies.
What did you say? I
said they're pussies.
Oh.
Add to my notes, Dark Lash, do not be afraid.
That's right.
I'm gonna have a tale to tell next time at the Adventuring Guild.
Yeah, no kidding. So we'll start back next week. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We always appreciate it. This was certainly a different one. So we'll be back, next week to do it. As always, check out Max's notes and his character sheet. Always you know, feel free to give us donations to keep us streaming and allowing us to do upgrades and things like that to our broadcast. Check out. Say again.
Real quick, I think our faces are covered.
Oh, I see. Right, because of the caption. Sorry. Sorry. Bam. There you go.
All right.
So, as always, check out Max's YouTube channel where he discusses the role of music in various video games. And thanks, as always, to Elliot Dunovitz for doing the fantastic character art there for Brise that we use. And you can see her website there and check out other things that she's done. And I have a novel that I'm tickled about, and it's on Amazon, both Kindle and paperback. And so take a look, and you can come rag me about whether you like it or hate it while we're streaming. But I'm always thankful for you guys being here. I know I speak for Max in that regard as well. Max, what do you want to say to these lovely people?
Well, I hope you had a fun time exploring the mansion along with us and enjoyed the session as always. Second session of the year. And I will hope to see you all next week. I think should be back online. Yeah, next week.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, guys. And we will see you next Wednesday. And we'll see what happens on episode 36. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.